Now, y'all thought I wasn't going to talk about Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns because they're playing dominant basketball right now. So you already know I got to talk about my guy and the team that I think legit can win a championship this season, the Phoenix Suns. Let's talk about it, man. You already know it's Freak Knows Hoops. Welcome back. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you are new to the channel where we talk about NBA basketball. So if you love hoops, this is the place for you. And the Phoenix Suns are dominating their series against the MVP in basketball. Shout out to Nikola Jokic for winning the MVP. But the Suns are dominating that series right now, up 2-0. And it feels like it's a lopsided 2-0 series. I'm going to keep it honest. And Chris Paul is looking like Chris Paul. Chris Paul is looking like Chris Paul. But it's not just him. It's not just Devin Booker. The thing I love about the Suns team, why I've been so invested in the Suns team all season long, it's a team. It's a team effort. They had, I think, 6 or 7 players in double figures last night. It wasn't like D-Book only had 18 points. He wasn't blowing the game away. Chris Paul had a great game, 17 points, 15 assists. The third time, 0 assists, 0 turnovers, by the way, to go along with those 15 assists. The third time in this playoff career that he's had 15 plus assists and 0 turnovers in a game. That's why he's the point guard. And that's only happened, I think, 4 other times in NBA history, if the stat I saw was correct. And Chris Paul has done that 3 times with 3 different teams. Give that man his respect, man. He's one of the best that we've ever seen. Truly is one of the best we've ever seen. And, start appreciating him while you still can. And appreciate this Suns team. Full team effort. DeAndre Ayton's been sensational in the postseason. He's been great in the playoffs. He's been really good all year, and he's been good in his NBA career. It's tough for him because he came in with Luka. He came in with Trae Young. He came in a very loaded draft class. He was a number 1 pick. So he's always going to have that little extra, magnifying glass on him. But he's been really good, especially in this postseason. He's stepped his play up to a new level. We love to see it. Mikal Bridges, one of the most improved players in basketball. He's been great. He's been really good in the postseason. Of course, he brings up an defensive end, but his offensive game has been good too. Jay Crowder didn't shoot it so well in that first series, but he's really started to pick it up, as these playoffs have gone along. One of the big additions in the offseason was Jay Crowder, along with the Chris Paul signing. But Jay Crowder was another big signing. He wins games everywhere he goes. He makes deep playoff runs everywhere he plays basketball. So shout out to him. And, the campaigns of the world, the Cam Johnsons of the world, these are guys that, campaign was pretty much out of the league a year ago. He didn't have a job a year ago. And he found a role within Phoenix, and he's become one of the better backup point guards in the league, contributing to a winning basketball team that has legit championship hopes. They really can win a championship this season. And, the Cam Johnson, Torrey Craig, there's so many. This is a full team. This is a team effort, man. You got to love the Suns team. They're giving it to the Denver Nuggets right now. Denver really, they haven't played any, the 2 games in Phoenix. Shout out to the Valley because it's been rocking. They haven't played well in Phoenix at all. Jokic has not looked like the MVP of basketball. But I got to give a lot of credit to the Phoenix Suns because they're basically showing Jokic is going to get what he gets because he's a great player. But nobody else is really going to do too much. Nobody else is going to do too much. You can argue the next best player for the Denver Nuggets in this series has been JaMychal Green. From what I've watched, he seems like the next best player on the court for the Denver Nuggets. They're making it tough for, Monte Morris to have games like he did against Portland. They're making it tough for Austin Rivers to have games like he did against Portland. Campazzo, guys like this. That's because this Phoenix Suns team is not that Portland Trailblazer team. This team defends at a high level, very high level. And, of course, Chris Paul, great defender. Mikal Bridges has shown he is a great defender in this league. Jay Crowder, DeAndre Ayton, who has been a very good defender, shown a lot of improvements on the defensive side from when he first stepped into the league, which was the biggest knock on him was his defense. He has turned into a pretty good defender at the center position. I think, he deserves a lot of credit on that side. And you might think Devin Booker's a weak link defensively, but he's not. Devin Booker defends. I'm here to tell you that now. He defends. And Chris Paul said it. And Chris Paul is not going to give his teammates credit if it's not warranted. And Devin Booker has shown that he's a very good defender too. And, that's not even to mention Cam Johnson off the bench, Torrey Craig off the bench. Campaign brings a little bit defensively. And even guys like Javon Carter, who, plays spot minutes, he defends very well. This team got it. This team has everything I think it takes to win a championship this season. I don't think that's too far-fetched. I don't think I'm living in the moment because they're playing great basketball and they just beat the Lakers last round. They're dominating the MVP this round. I really think this Phoenix Suns team is capable of winning a championship. And I had been thinking about this question since last night, but one of my friends texted me and asked me, is this Phoenix Suns team better than the Chris Paul Rockets team? The one that was basically a Chris Paul hamstring away from winning a championship. You know, they were about to beat the Warriors. They were one game away from beating the Warriors, and Chris Paul pulled his hamstring. And he asked me basically like, which team is better? And I was like, I don't know. I think it's really close. I really think the Suns team, I think there's good cases for both teams, but I really do think that this Suns team might have the edge. I think they have the coaching edge. I'm almost 6 minutes into this video. Haven't even mentioned Monty Williams. That's just how under the radar he is as a coach. He's one of the better coaches in the league. Could have easily won Coach of the Year. Like if this was any other season, he probably would have won Coach of the Year. But you know, shout out to Tibbs and what he did with the Knicks in the regular season. But Monty Williams could have easily been Coach of the Year. I think other than maybe Doc Rivers, this is probably the best coach that Chris Paul has played under. And I think that's what makes this arguably the best team that he's played on, because this is just as well-rounded as a team as it gets. I know that Rockets team had MVP James Harden. They had, you know, great 3-and-D players. They had PJ Tucker, Trevor Ariza, Eric Gordon, Clint Capella. They had a lot of very talented players, but I think the Suns team has a very good case. That would be a fun matchup. I think the Suns team has a very good case, though. And that's because they got guys that are hungry. They got guys that are killing. D-Book, even on this series, he hasn't been great, but we know he's been killing in this postseason. DeAndre Ayton has been killing in this postseason. And now we're starting to see Chris Paul get healthy. And a healthy Chris Paul controls the game better than 99% of players in the NBA. Better than most of the players that we've ever seen. Yeah. One thing about Chris Paul is, too, people need to start really appreciating this man, because wherever he goes, he makes teams, playoff teams that probably have no business being in the playoffs or borderline playoff teams. He turns them into playoff teams. And I think this Phoenix Suns team is one that, you know, this Phoenix Suns team was probably going to be a playoff team this season, I think, even maybe without Chris Paul. But the Chris Paul effect is they turn from a fringe playoff team, which is probably what they would have been, like fighting for, you know, a 7-8 seed, to a team that is the second best team in the league and now have legit championship hopes. I really believe this Suns team, I'm gonna keep saying it, this Suns team can win a championship this year. This Suns team can win a championship this year. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. And I know a lot of people are pretty much wrapping it up. Like, the Nets look so overpowering. The Nets look so good. James Harden's not even playing, and the Nets still look so dominant. They're dominating the Milwaukee Bucks. But I think this Suns team can match up with them, and I think they can make it a compelling series, probably more than people think. And I think this is the year where, like, anything, you know, crazy could happen. And we could see a team that's looked so dominant like the Nets fall to a team like the Phoenix Suns. I was talking to my twin. I'm like, this is like a team of destiny. We've been invested in the Suns all year, me and him, because he's one of the biggest Devin Booker fans I know, along with my guy Mason. Those two, Twin and Mason, have been invested in Devin Booker since for the last 4 or 5 years. No joke. They're the earliest Devin Booker fans I know, and you know, they're big Devin Booker fans. I'm obviously big Chris Paul fan, so it's easy to be invested in this team when we have favorite players on this team. But like, it's really just something like we've fallen in love with the rest of the team as well. Like, everybody on this team, that's the thing about this Suns team. It's like everybody eats, everybody plays their role, everybody does their job, and that's a testament to these players on this roster. It's a testament to Monty Williams. Shout out to James Jones for putting this team together. The Phoenix Suns fans, shout out to them for always bringing the energy in the Valley, and they deserve it, man, because they've been through a long 11 years of no playoff basketball. They've been through a lot of draft picks that didn't pan out, a lot of guys that did not pan out. They've been through a year where they won 48 games and didn't make the postseason because the West is that tough. Like, they've dealt with a lot. They've dealt with bad coaching. They've dealt with a lot of different coaches. They've dealt with Watching Devin Booker put up great numbers on terrible teams that win 19 games. They've watched like just bad years of basketball, and now they get to reap the benefits of sticking through those bad years, and that's having a team that can win a championship. And that's what I love to see, because Chris Paul is one of those players that deserves a championship. And I think this is one of his better chances. It's one of his better chances. There's no Warriors left in the Western Conference. LeBron's gone. LeBron's home right now. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, they're not in the playoffs. There's no, other than on the Eastern Conference side, which the Nets do look great right now, there's not really a team that I think, Nets included, I don't think there's a team that this Phoenix Suns squad can't beat. I really don't. I don't even think that's just me hopeful wishing as a Chris Paul fan. I think it's really what I believe. I really don't. I see no team that this Suns squad can't beat, especially the brand of basketball that they're playing. They defend. They're probably one of the better defensive teams left in the postseason. I don't know what the numbers really say to point towards that, but I think they're the best defensive team left in the postseason right now off the top of my head. And I think they have just guys that are, they have guys that impact winning in the postseason. They got killers on their roster, man. They got killers on their roster. They got the point guard. They have Chris Paul. And I want to see Chris Paul win a championship. But I think, not just me wanting as a fan, I think there's a legit chance that this could be the year that he might win the championship, if not at least make the finals. I think that very good chance that he makes the finals. And they still have a series ahead of them, man. They got to go back to Denver, play 2 games. The Suns handled, they did what they were supposed to do. They won 2 games at home. That's what you're supposed to do as the higher seed. You're supposed to win your 2 games at home. That's why it's called home court advantage. You're supposed to win those 2 games. But they looked dominant. It was so lopsided in those 2 games, especially game 2. And it's hard for me as a fan who watches a lot of basketball to really dissect what exactly is wrong with the Nuggets right now. And I think every time I talk about the Nuggets, I mention Jamal Murray not being hurt. I mention guys being out of the lineup that are rotational players. But it's hard to ask Will Barton, who just came back in game 2, like, can you play like how you were playing before you were hurt? Because he was playing really well before he got hurt. He was filling in the Jamal Murray role pretty nicely. It's hard to ask him, somebody who hasn't played since April, like, can you, rev it up a little bit? Can you rev it up a little bit? And then you have to continue to ask guys like Monte Morris, who was a very good backup point guard, Austin Rivers, who, can, go off. He can have games where he can go off. It's hard to ask those guys, like, can you sustain that level that you were playing in that first round in this series too, against an even better team, against a great defensive team, against one of the best point guards ever and one of the best shooting guards in the league? Can y'all match those guys' production? That's asking them a lot. And then you're asking Aaron Gordon to, be a little out of his comfort zone and have to guard an elite guard. Before this season, I don't remember ever seeing Aaron Gordon being asked to guard the other team's best, wing scorer. I don't really recall seeing that too much. That's what he's been asked to do. He was guarding like CJ in that first round. Now he's guarding Devin Booker. And that's asking him a lot. And then Jokic, they're doing a very good job on Jokic, making those passing lanes tough. Throwing different looks at him, making sure the help defense is there. They're doing a very good job against the MVP. Like, he hasn't had an MVP type performance in either one of those first 2 games. Still a long series. This series is far from over, but the Phoenix Suns are in control. And like, if you're Michael Malone, the Denver Nuggets head coach, you have a lot to figure out going into game 3. I think you really have to put together a flawless scheme to get a game 3 victory. It's going to be key for them. It's going to be key for them to win that game 3 because, no teams ever came back from 3-0, obviously. And the way the Phoenix Suns are playing, I think their confidence level is through the roof right now. And I'm happy to see it. Chris Paul might be playing on his best team ever. at I think he's 36. He might be playing on his best team ever, and this might be his best chance of winning a championship, because I'm gonna say it again, this Phoenix Suns team can win it all. They can win it all. I told y'all early on in the season, like maybe like 15 games in, to buy all of the Phoenix Suns stock, because this team was going to be great. And I know I didn't even know if they were going to get out the first round because they played against LeBron, but this team is defying the odds, and I think this is a team of destiny type. This is definitely a team of destiny. I think they can really win it all. I think they can beat Philly. I think they can beat the Nets. I think they can beat the Clippers, the Jazz out west. I think they can win this series that they're playing right now. It's easy to say that they're up 2-0, but I thought they were going to win this series in the beginning. And yeah, appreciate this Suns team, because we might be seeing something special. Appreciate Chris Paul while he is still playing high-level basketball. Just appreciate that, man, because he's one of the best that we've ever seen. And he may not have the MVPs like Steph Curry or the amazing statistics of a Russell Westbrook, but that man impacts winning. Chris Paul impacts winning like none other. He's one of the best in that department. So appreciate this guy while he is still playing some high-level basketball, contributing to a championship caliber team. Appreciate this roster, man. Appreciate Devin Booker if you haven't, over the course of his young career, because he's making his name more than it even was. Like, he is becoming better than, I think we even envisioned him being. He's performing on the biggest stages in the postseason. He's having big games. Appreciate DeAndre Ayton. He has been very good for this team. He's been great on both sides of the ball. Appreciate these guys because they're doing something special. They have a legit chance of hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy. So if you tuned in, thank you for watching my Phoenix Suns, Chris Paul, Devin Booker appreciation video. Thank you for tuning in. Leave a like, subscribe. I'm out.